Hello my friends and welcome to the second set of decks for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel Trial event. It's also known as the Tryout Duel Rental Competition 2. But Duel Trial of course rolls more off the tongue, and that's also what they call it. And I'm getting strong will this time. I already made my 3 victories because my thinking was I wanted to get the gist of the loan decks before I go over them, because I think that might make it easier to know what to say about the cards, like what the ones you want to focus on. So I think this was better. And hopefully this helps me also being able to go through them a little bit quicker. But first let's do the pack opening, because I need to do the pack opening. It doesn't allow me to hang on to it. I'm not sure how good this pack opening is, because it looks like I'm not getting any super rares. Oh yeah. One thing I can say about this event is that it's utilizing new cards as well as old cards from from this selection pack, as well as the older cards that were already introduced for the archetypes mentioned. So forget what it was called. Oh, and none of the advanced crystal beasts are being played. I just wanted to also mention that. So these aren't really being played. That's pretty cool though. Of course you do need to play advanced stock, and if you do play advanced crystal beasts, it might mess a little bit, if you want to play the other field spell, the original field spell for the crystal beast, because these send themselves to the graveyard. And unfortunately they only send themselves to the graveyard and they don't destroy themselves. It might be kind of good if they destroyed themselves, because then you would be able to get them into your spell and trap zone, but they don't even let you really be able to utilize advanced stock not being in a field zone. So advanced stock is pretty important if you're planning to play these guys. But I think they are a little bit stronger. I'm not exactly sure. Oh yeah, I think they are. Yeah, they definitely are a little bit stronger, I would say. Yeah, and then here's some of the original crystal beasts. This one, Lady Lapis Lazuli, probably one of the best Gem Knights. Also pretty good for the Gem Knight FTK. Mystical Beast of Circuit, Crystal Blessing. This is a pretty good one. If you end up using your crystal beasts as links, they'll go to the graveyard since they're not destroyed, and then this is a way to bring back the ones that use as link material. So it's pretty cool. Gravekeeper's Watcher, and then Gem Knight Obsidian's the last one. I think Gem Knight Obsidian is probably pretty cool, since it allows you to special summon a normal monster by just simply using it as fusion material, because these work pretty well with using them as fusion material, since a lot of them have gained benefit off of it, those Gem Knights. Anyway, so here's the 3 decks. So the first deck is a G Golem deck. This is, I think, the newest archetype. And then the other 2 I think are a little bit older. Oh yeah, Crystal Beasts and Gem Knights. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure these were already around. They did get new support though, but I think this is the newest archetype. But it is combining it with an older archetype as well, the Adignistas, because I mean, I guess they work pretty well together since they're both Cyberse. Though there's not like really a ton of Agnestas, like some of the good ones are available. And then so basically how I was like set on winning was I was trying to follow along with like what the deck description means, and I think that might actually be the strategy. Like if using the loner decks, you might just like want to pay attention to what the deck description reads. It may not always be that straightforward, like if you don't like have like the hand that can like lead up to what the like basically telling you the strategy is. You won't always have that. So you can like change up into like different things. But I still think it's fine. Like the thing about this deck like is in order to really make the most out of G Golem and Valid Dolmen, you really want it to be co-linked to something. But the cool thing is, if you can at least put up 4 different monsters on the field, which there are some ways of being able to do that. If you can put up 4, like you can basically get him co-linked on your first turn of going, as long as your opponent doesn't really mess with your strategy. And I think there's really like there's not really a lot of ways of putting up 4 different monsters. But there are a few, and when you can get it like that, like that's probably one of your, like they're saying, that's probably like a pretty good strategy right there. Especially when you have like a little bit of disruption as well. I'm sure it's not unbeatable, but like it's still pretty good. Like especially if you can like put it up kind of early. Okay, anyway, Doshin and Ignister. This guy like allows you to special summon himself while you can controlling it at Ignister. So here's like one strategy you can do. Let's say you have Doshin and G Golem Rockhammer. Yeah, which is like also what it's saying in the deck description. Like G Golem Rockhammer can discard a Cyberse to be able to basically make it so that you can normal summon it without tributes. So yeah, let's say you have Doshin and a G Golem Rockhammer. And let's just say you already have AI Love Fusion in your hand. Yeah. So you basically get a discard that's not the Doshin at Ignister in order to basically be able to normal summon this without tributing, and then you normal summon him, and then you tribute him off to create 3 tokens, and then what you want to do, you want to go into, I think it's G Golem Stubborn Menhir. You kind of want to pay it. Oh yeah, and one thing about this, you want to pay attention to the fact that it has to be special summoned from the graveyard to target an Earth. At first, I was thinking that I could just link summon it and it would get its effect to target Earth in my graveyard. That can be normal summon a set to summon it, but it doesn't. It has to be special summoned from the graveyard. Ways to do that though. But anyway. So back to it. You go into the G Golem Stubborn Menhir. You're not really worrying about its effect right now, but it's probably the best one to link summon in this case, because like if you can special summon it, you get a little bit more advantage. Anyway, G Golem Stubborn Menhir. And then now what you're left with is 1 token and a G Golem Stubborn Menhir. Oh yeah, actually what I'm thinking is you should probably have another Cyberse. You probably want another Cyberse in your hand also. So you want to use the Cyberse in your hand. That's not the Doshin and Nissa. Just pretend you have another Cyberse. So I guess it kind of requires G Golem, Doshin, and then any other Cyberse. Like the other Cyberse doesn't really matter. You're just like using it for the Cyberse material. And then use the G Golem Stubborn Men here as the other material. And then you go into the fusion. And now you can special summon the Doshin, since you now control an Adagnister. And now what you have is you have the Doshin. You have the Doshin, the Earth Golem, and one token. So now what you want to... So that's still not 3. But I guess it's still okay. Like, you can still get out the G Golem Crystal Heart. And then... Oh, wait. Yeah, no. You can get out the G Golem Crystal Heart. And then special summon the Stubborn Men here. And then this one... unfortunately, can't special summon the Fusion. But it does allow you to special summon one of your other Earths, which gives you the link, which gives you Crystal Heart, Stubborn Men here, and then you either add one of your Earth monsters to your hand, or you special summon it. Oh yeah, actually, yeah, this is pretty good. And then you special summon that, and now you can just go into the G Golem Invalid Dormant. And so that's one way you can get into this being co-linked, because you just link it to the Crystal Heart pointing. And it'll still have that GG counter, so that it gives that G Golem Invalid Dormant 600 attack. Unfortunately, the Crystal Heart doesn't give itself 600 attack, but the having the Invalid Dormant co-linked is pretty nice, because now it makes both the Dormant and the other monster unaffected by monster effects, and it makes it so that it forces your opponent to attack this card. So if they go into they probably don't want to go into links unless monsters, unless they have a way to beat it. And getting this early is again pretty good. So that's one line you can do. Another line you can do is if you simply have Widget Kid plus G Golem Rockhammer. See, G Golem Rockhammer is a really good card. Since it itself basically acts as 3 bodies, since it can distribute itself to create 3 tokens. I was originally thinking this was good too. This could give you 3 bodies, but I didn't realize that the special summon of a G Golem Pebble Dog from your deck is only once per turn. It's a hard once per turn, so even if you bring out another one, you don't get the special summon of another one off of that one. So that's a little unfortunate. But yeah, Widget Kid goes into Rockhammer, and I think this should be pretty obvious. You just here, but it's the line's a little bit different. But it's a little bit easier to go into. You just do Widget Kid, G Golem Rockhammer, and then effective Rockhammer, giving you 3 tokens. And then what you do is you want to go into Link 3 first. This might not make a lot of sense, since usually you go Link 2 to Link 3, but you kind of want to do it backwards. And the reason for that is because after you use the Link 3, you can then use that Link 3 and the other monster on field in order to go to the Crystal Heart, and then Crystal Heart lets you special summon Earth Link, which this Invalid Dormant is, from the graveyard. And that's another way you can do it. And that combo requires less cards too, so it's also pretty nice there. And I guess Link Slayer plus G Golem Rockhammer is another way, since Link Slayer can special summon itself while you control no monsters, and then you just like do the Rockhammer effect. You do need another Cyberse. Actually, for any of these combos, you do need like 1, 2 plus another Cyberse, or this plus another Cyberse, because in order to really be able to like normal summon it without tributing, you do need to have another Cyberse in hand in order to like discard off of it. I don't think these really help all that much. Target one Cyberse effect. I believe if you negate the effects of the G Golem Rockhammer with this card, I'm not sure if the tribute effect would still go through. I don't believe it does, because like if you negate Lone Fire and it tries to tribute itself, like it doesn't get to special summon a plant. So I believe that if you negate so this isn't really a line, like if you like normal summon this and then negate it in order to special summon this, that's not really a line. However, at least if you had like G Golem Pebble Dog out while you had this in your hand, you could bring out another one here and then special summon the Gotchiri. Actually, if you had Widget Kid plus G Golem Pebble Dog, bringing out another G Golem Pebble Dog, and you also had this, that is technically another way you can bring it out. Likewise, if you had Link Slayer plus a G Golem Pebble Dog plus this, that's another 3-card way of getting into the. Granted, you need to have at least one G Golem Pebble Dog in the deck, but that shouldn't be too hard. So yeah. So basically, that's like one way is with the Pebble Dog plus Link Slayer plus Gotchiri. That's one way. And then G Golem plus Widget Kid plus Gotchiri is another way. To get to 4 monsters on field. So that's 2 ways. G Golem Rockhammer plus Widget Kid plus any other Cyberse. It's probably a little bit easier, and that's another way. So that's 3 right there. G Golem plus Doshin plus, I believe, yeah, any other Cyberse is another way. So that's 4. And I think that might be it. So there's like 4 ways of getting to your 4 monsters in order to kind of be able to pull off the co-link, the Crystal Heart plus getting the Invalid Dolmen co-linked with it. So that's not too, I guess that's not too bad, especially considering how like strong it could be if you do have it up really early like that on turn 1. If you're going first, and maybe even turn 2 if you're going second, it could be maybe kind of strong there as well, since the G Golem Crystal Heart is pretty nice also, since it does allow the Invalid Dolmen another attack, so, and it does allow it piercing, which is pretty nice as well. And then Silent Mining is basically another 3 copies in case like you're just missing one of the cards needed for the in order to get 4. So I would say like that's the main thing you want to try to be doing. But if you can't pull that off, you could just simply like try to get yourself into the fusion. The fusion's not too bad, even like if you're not able to attack with it because you're going first, like because like it allows it makes it so that if your opponent happens to try attacking with a special summon monster, like this just gains extra attack. And I mean, even if they don't, even if they are able to destroy it by battle, like you can at least like get back one of your Cyberse monsters. Which I mean, since you like had to use one of the links in order to get to it, like it's probably best like to like have the Stubborn Mania in the graveyard, that be the link that you went into in order to get into the fusion, because then you get to special summon another Earth with the Stubborn Mania, and then that makes, and then if you like your opponent could only go for that, then maybe like you could like just like normal summon one monster on your turn, and then get out the invalid, and then like still be able to like do the invalid Dolmen plus Crystal Heart play on your next turn. Anyway, Monster Reborn, I didn't even see that. That is technically another way to get into the G Golem invalid Dolmen. Like, so basically, this is like technically another way. Like if you have like Pebble Dog goes into another Pebble Dog, plus maybe like a Link Slayer, like that you special summon first, and then like if you had like Monster Reborn, that would also be 4 monsters right there. Yeah, that would also make for 4 monsters. So you could also do it that way. So Monster Reborn could kind of act as like one of the missing pieces sometimes in order to still get to 4 monsters. This is kind of cool, the AI Love Fusion, like being able to use a Link monster your opponent controls. This is pretty good for the Mia match, because the invalid Dolmen just makes them unaffected by monster effects, but it doesn't make them unaffected by spell effects. And because you're not actually destroying it, you also get to bypass this, negating the effects of all face-up monsters. So actually AI Love Fusion is really good for the Mia match. Probably the best against this deck, like, because the other decks I don't think really care too much about the links, but like I think the Crystal Beasts don't really go into the links all that much. And then I guess Gem Knights this would also be good against, because they're usually ending on a link, but I'll go through those a little bit more later. So yeah. And then this card I would say, fortunately you can't just discard this card with the Rock Hammer effect. That is kind of unfortunate, because this would be really good discard fodder if you had a way to discard it. So actually, like, if you wanted to like destroy stuff with Link Slayer, these make really good discard fodder, since I think it's kind of hard to get like 2 Earth monsters with the same name. Like, I mean, maybe you could like hold on to one just in case, but like I don't think you really need these. Like I never even really use them. It is good with the Pebble Dog. Okay, so I was kind of I didn't even think about that. It actually it is good with the Pebble Dog. So actually it's really good with the Pebble Dog, because the gravity balance, like if you just have G Golem plus gravity, the Pebble Dog plus gravity balance, that's also a way of getting 4 monsters. Because like what you do is you get the out the Link 2 with the Pebble Dog, Is that fine? But I guess it has to be the Stubborn Men here. And then you summon out. Yeah, and then you. Oh yeah, G Golem plus the Pebble Dog plus the gravity balance is probably one of the easiest ways of like being able to bring out the Invalid Dolmen, because like you use the 2 Pebble Dogs that one of them you bring out with its effect, and then use them as link material for the Stubborn Men here. And then you special summon the 2 Pebble Dogs with the gravity balance. You don't care if like they can't activate their effects, because you're just using them as fodder to bring out the Crystal Heart. You want to make sure that Stubborn Men here is used in addition to one of the Pebble Dogs that you brought out. And then so you bring out the Crystal Heart, and then use the Crystal Heart to bring out the Stubborn Men here. And then Stubborn Men here allows you to bring out Pebble Dog. And then I think you end up with 4 monsters. So yeah, I'm pretty sure you end up with 4 monsters. You use 2, that, 2, and then, yeah, and then, hold on, 2, you go into the Stubborn Men here, and then use this, you get out the 2 Pebble Dogs again, and then use a Pebble, so now you have 2 Pebble Dogs plus a Stubborn Men here. Yeah, use 1 Pebble Dog plus a Stubborn Men here to bring out the Crystal Heart, leaving you with a Pebble Dog plus a Crystal Heart, and then use a Crystal Heart plus to bring out the Stubborn Men here, which gives you access to, yeah, the Pebble Dogs. So you're left with 2 Pebble Dogs plus a Stubborn Men here plus a Crystal Heart, and then you just use the, yeah, use the Stubborn Men here. Oh, I think that's actually like just enough to be able to bring out the, actually no, because you only have to use the Stubborn Men here plus like 1 of the Pebble Dogs, since this just calls for 2 plus us. So yeah, so I guess you're basically just left with Invalid Dolmen plus a Pebble Dog plus Crystal Heart. So I mean, technically what you could do if you wanted to, you could use the Invalid Dolmen plus the Pebble Dog that you're left with to go into the Dignified Trillathon. But I'm not sure if this is like, but I still think it's better to just stay on the Invalid Dolmen, since this has a really good effect, making co-linked monsters just unaffected by card effects. I feel like this is like something like you don't really need to go into, because it just negates effects of like stuff that like targets your things. Yeah, Carter effect. So I guess it also gets around spells or traps, but like you do lose the access to like everything being unaffected, both of your links being unaffected. And the other effect is that like you negate the effects of an opponent's monster. Which is actually kind of cool too, I guess. But you need to have an Earth. So is it worth it to go into this, like, if you have an Earth in your hand? It does negate some pretty relevant stuff, like the Pebble Dog, the Rock Hammer. Actually, I don't think it negates a Rock Hammer, since it tributes itself before. And so by the time... And you can only respond to, like... Oh, wait. I guess you could respond to the Rock Hammer normal summoning itself. But you do lose the being unaffected. Them being... Which I'm not sure how big of a deal that is. Because this still, like, makes it so that your opponent has to attack into this, and also that the bigger attack can be pretty relevant sometimes. So I guess if you have an Earth, it might be worth like going into this like after you do like going into this like and having it co-linked to Crystal Heart if you can, especially if Crystal Heart gives it 600 attack because it had GG counter, because then it goes up to 3900. And then if you like make a monster lose 200 attack, like that, and negates effects, that can even get over like one other monster that that I'm gonna be showing later on in the Crystal Beast profile. Maybe this is what maybe it's worth losing the both monsters are unaffected by monster effects, because I don't know like how really prevalent that is, like because like I think usually it's probably gonna be like one monster that's gonna be kind of annoying, and like if you like negate a prevalent effect, like then you can probably make up for the being unaffected. So actually this might be worth going into. I'm not sure. Probably though. They don't really talk about that though. Probably because you're probably not going to be ending on this, and like especially this being co-linked to something as often as you're going to be ending on this being co-linked with something, because there's like one line to maybe like a few other lines if you happen to have Monster Reborn as well, but like there's a lot more lines to get you to the Invalid Dolmen co-linked with the Crystal Heart. But I think if you can, it's probably worth it, especially if you have another Earth in hand. If you don't have an Earth in hand, though, it's probably more worth it to just even if you can make this, to still just wait on the Invalid Dolmen plus the Crystal Heart play. Even if you could make this, like, because it's really only worth going into this if you have an Earth, so that you can get the negate off. At least that's like what I would think. Since like the negate would stop quite a bit of prevalent effects. Like if you stop the G Golem Rock Hammer, like then like the opponent has a much weaker board. They can't tribute this to make 3 tokens, which basically turns 1 body into 3 bodies. They can't use the G Golem Pebble Dog to bring out another one, which I guess is kind of cool. They can't use the Crystal Heart if they were like planning to use the Crystal Heart to bring out the Invalid Dolmen. You could just negate the Crystal Heart, since it won't be unaffected until it brings out the Invalid Dolmen. So like there's a lot of prevalent effects like in this deck and like for the other decks that like pretty much if you negate something, that can like make up for the fact that you lose the unaffected sort of ability. Okay, so I think that's pretty much what I want to say about this deck. That's like the main thing. Here, I'll go through the cycle, like if you want to like look at all the cards. And I think I'm gonna just do one profile each video, since these are probably going to take a little bit, even though I have a better idea. At least I think I'm giving you more of like a play line you want to focus on, rather than like just like talking about the cards. I think I'm giving you more details about like basically the play lines you want to focus on, which I think is a lot better. Of course, this also has the added effect of like giving you the I Love fusion, which is pretty cool. So if you already happen to have a Cyberse link in your graveyard, you could always just like get out the I Love Fusion. But definitely if you can just make the Invalid Dolmen plus Crystal Heart play, you don't really want to focus on the fusion too much, because a lot of the times you may not even be able to get his like effect off, since like it does, I mean the attack and effect off, because it does require your opponent to actually go into an X deck monster. And I guess that's good against the that's pretty good against this deck, I guess, if they try going into Invalid Dolmen, because like since it's affecting itself, the Invalid Dolmen wouldn't be unaffected by that, since this isn't affecting the link, it's affecting itself. But against the other decks, I guess it's also pretty good against Gem Knights, since they also like look to their fusions, but like not so good against Crystal Beasts. Actually maybe pretty good against Crystal Beasts. Like I don't know, this might be good. They could always like attack over it with a few of their non X deck monsters, though. They do have some pretty strong non X deck monsters that they could just attack over it. Huh. I don't know. I just think since like they did mention that line of play, like the Invalid Dolmen, that like probably they want you to focus more on that. And I think it worked pretty well. I think these are just better decks in general. Anyway, though. Anyway, I'm gonna go through the others. Widget Kid. Launcher Commander. Link Slayer. And then G Golem Rockhammer. Gusariat Ignister. Kind of cool that it can special summon itself when a link monsters are about. So like you can use this as a way to put a material up, and also as a way to give yourself a 3000 attack, 3000 defense body. That's cool. And also it's pretty good when you like declare an attack with a link. Oh wait, it also has that graveyard effect, so that's pretty cool. So after you use that as material, you can like then like give the link an extra 3000 attack in case like to get over like really strong monsters. Gachiriat Ignister. Also has a graveyard effect, so that's cool. I guess this could also be a way of like kind of giving this unaffected by card effect status, even so like this could also be another thing, like you give this guy unaffected by card effect status, but then they can still like do with the Crystal Heart, so it's still not going to be as good as the Invalid Dolmen, saying on that. But but still, it's pretty cool. And also you could like that can definitely come in handy, this like graveyard effect. Raigeki for disruption, Harpies for disruption. And what's cool is that the Crystal Heart, it doesn't the link doesn't have to attack into monsters. So if you just do Raigeki, you can just get like some big direct attacks with the Invalid Dolmen. Since like I mean even with one Juju counter it would go up to 30, what is it, 3100, 3400 attack, I think, something like that. So yeah, two pretty big hits right there. Harpy's Feather Duster for clearing out back row, like so you can make sure your plays don't get disrupted if your opponent has some big back row. This is also really good against the Crystal Beasts, I would say, since like their monsters like go to back row when they're destroyed. But I believe I'm not sure like how, but like if they have the field spell up, they could always negate this. I I think. But like we're gonna go into more detail for the Crystal Beast a little in like the next video. In tomorrow's video. Monster Reborn. I kind of talked about that. It's also a good way of like bringing back a few of your bigger link monsters, since they're all gonna be like summoned properly, and your fusion too if you want. Silent Mining. 3 of that. I kind of talked about that. I kind of talked about the I Love Fusion. Gravity Balance, I already talked about that. But it also has a graveyard effect that protects a G Golem monster from being disturbed by battle and opponent's card effect. So that's really good if your opponent's trying to destroy your Link with like a higher attack monster. And then like and then at least you can protect your G Golem that way. And then like on your next turn you could like bring out a way to be able to like counter those high attack monsters. Call by the Grave for more disruption. This is pretty good against an opponent's G Golem effect, since like when they try triggering it for its effect, you can just call by the Grave, so that not only do they lose the G Golem body that they could have used for maybe a Link summon, so they not only lose the G Golem body since it already was tributed, but they also lose the ability to place 3. So like if this was really the only play they could do, like they could potentially like not really be able to like have any other bodies, which could be pretty good. I guess it's also pretty good like if I don't know like how good it is against like the Crystal Beast. Like I tried using against Crystal Beast. I'm not sure, like, I guess it could be pretty good if they try using one of the, like, since, like, the ultimate ones, the boss monsters can kind of, like, have, like, effects to, like, give them even more attack power. Like, this could be another way to maybe negate them if they happen to have another copy of that monster in the graveyard. But it's not always going to be good, I guess. Especially if, like, maybe I can like show like in one of the replays the example where it wasn't really that good, but this can also be good against a Gem Knight deck whenever they try like banish, like if they like try like using like a graveyard effect, like a few of the Gem Knights have graveyard effects, or if they try using Massive Diamond to get a fusion effect, and and they only have one fusion in the graveyard, I think you need to use this before the Massive Diamond activates. But like you can always just banish that fusion, like if there's like one fusion that you don't want the Massive Diamond to be taking its effects. Also, I guess it's pretty good against the Link monster for Gem Knights, since it can use material from the graveyard, maybe like to remove one of the materials, but there might be so many materials already in the graveyard that maybe it doesn't even really matter, because I'm not sure if it targets first before you can use this, or you gotta like use it preemptively. Anyway, but yeah, I'll be going over the cards I mentioned for the Gem Knights and the Crystal Beasts a little bit later in like in future videos. Back to front. It's also pretty good. Call by the Grave is also pretty good against back to the front, because they have to target something first, and then you can just banish whatever they target, and then they don't get to special summon anything, which is pretty cool. Also pretty good against with Monster Reborn. So like there's a few relevant but I definitely think one of the biggest plays is definitely like if you're playing a mirror, like It's really good for stopping the G Golem Rock Hammer. It's also really good for stopping the Crystal Heart, since it has to target something first. It's also pretty good for stopping the Stubborn Menhir or the Earth Golem Adagnyssa, since they all target. So there's a lot of like, so it might actually be like, I'm not sure like which deck it's best against, but it's pretty good against like the Mirror, because Call by the Grave like stops a lot of targeting of monsters in the graveyard, which G Golems and Adagnyssas do quite a bit of like targeting stuff in the graveyard. And then Infinite Impermanence, another way to like that you can like kind of counter the G Golem Rock Hammer if you're playing against the Mirror. Can also counter the Pebble Dog. It can basically counter a lot of stuff that has like a prevalent like field effect. Let's call him Adagnyssa. So I kind of talked about this. I talked about this already. Talked about this one. Talked about that, and then I basically talked about this. So that'll do it for today's video. Yeah. Once again, a little bit longer. I actually think like that was like maybe like the longest I took on a deck overview. So sorry about that, but I hope you enjoyed nonetheless. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna like do one deck overview a day. I'm not sure if like this like takes longer, if I just need to get used to this like new strategy I'm doing. I'll try to like not be as long though. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's deck overview, and that'll do it for the video. But thank you everyone who stayed for the deck overview, and thank you everyone who stayed for the whole video, including the intro and outro that I'll be going into shortly. I'll just leave, and I'll also leave this like thank you note in the description. Oh yeah, by the way, I forgot to say at the beginning, but I'll say it now. Please subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll also leave the verse in the description. I kind of forgot to say that. So I'll go into the outro now. Please like, share, and subscribe, and consider ringing that notification bell for regular content. You can either ring the notification bell to be notified of all my videos, or personalized by simply clicking the notification bell and selecting all, or personalized. All is being notified about all my videos, whether you watch them or not, and personalized is being notified of the videos that you watch the most. Also, if you would like to leave a comment, that would be greatly appreciated. You can leave a comment about anything, either pertaining to the video, pertaining to the verse I leave in the description, or just something random if you'd like. Just please keep it appropriate. You can even leave an emote if you would like, but just be aware that it may lock you out if you paste too many of the same emote in a day, just in case like if you decide one day you just paste emotes on a whole bunch of my videos. Just keep that in mind. Usually you can fix that by either going with a different emote or by posting multiples of that emote instead of just the one. And thank you everyone who do watch my videos, and a big thanks to those who do watch all of my videos, but still thank you to everyone who only watches a couple once in a while, or just watches one of the games. I understand how it is no matter how you do it. It's just appreciated no matter what. no matter how you decide to go about viewing my videos.